Josie Gomez.
I'm Christian Alvarado, and this is Group 5.
According to Pamela Ronald, plant geneticist and professor at UC Davis, 70% of processed foods now have at least one genetically engineered ingredient. The use of food labels are highly significant for the advancement in our health as a society. Understanding what we are consuming will benefit everyone. Genetically modified foods, GMOs, are made from genetically adjusted animals who have had specific changes made into their DNA through the use of genetic modeling. The act of including food labels in genetically engineered food is to just notify or warn the consumer of what they really are consuming. This will be an advantage to our health as a society at large. First, we will discuss why it will benefit our society if we use food labels. Next, we will discuss who and what is stopping this act from passing. Finally, we will conclude by discussing the solution that we believe is best to pass this act.
California should require all genetically modified food products to be labeled because not enough important information is being presented to the consumer. According to an article by the Institute for Responsible Technology, numerous health problems increased after GMOs were introduced in 1996. The percentage of Americans with 3 or more chronic illnesses jumped from 7% to 13% in just 9 years. Food allergies skyrocketed, and disorders such as autism, reproductive disorders, and digestive problems, and others are on the rise. Most people don't know, but GM crops and their associated herbicides can harm birds, insects, amphibians, marine ecosystems, and soil organisms. They reduce biodiversity, pollute water resources, and are unsustainable. This is why the people should be for the new food labels, so that they can be better informed about what their products contain. Then, according to another article by Mark Lifsher from the Los Angeles Times on March 30th, 2014, by a 5-2 vote last week, a health committee approved Senate Bill 1381 by Senator Noreen Evans, which would require labeling of genetically engineered bulk and packaged foods beginning in 2016. Those that oppose the act do not want their products to be labeled. There shouldn't be a problem because the bill does not declare whether genetically modified foods are good or bad, Evans testified. It simply requires labeling. The point is to attack food companies and their products. All they ask for is better food labels. Now that we have discussed
the ill, we will go on and talk about the blame. Legislation does not want to pass labeling on GMO foods. Shouldn't we have the right as people to have these foods labeled and know what we are consuming? The reason as to why this act isn't able to pass is because according to Christopher Doring, 80% of foods contain GMOs, which represents 300 big food companies and would cost these companies more money in order to label if these products have been modified or not. Big corporations are the reason for this stall on GMO labeling, due to the fact that prices will increase and will end up causing the consumer to have to pay a higher price on these products. Another issue is that legislation believes that each state will make their own laws and requirements on what farmers need in order to count a product as a GMO product or not, costing them to pay more money and thus resulting into higher prices of the product. The problem with legislation making their own laws for each state is that if each state makes their own regulations, by each state having its own set of rules, is that each might find a loophole or another way around these GMO labelings and have a bigger risk of misleading labels or stretch of the truth.
Now that we have begun to discuss what is stopping this act from passing, let's discuss a solution for this problem. Solving the GMO labeling problem is a very lengthy process that would require many large industries to change their labels. As simple as this may sound, it is actually a very lengthy process that would require each state to have new laws and bills passed. Just recently, the governor of Vermont finalized the signing of GMOs being labeled statewide. This means that we will begin to see more food labels begin to be changed statewide. This movement will start to encourage other states to change their current laws on GMO food labeling. As an example, California has begun to follow in Vermont's footsteps. In February, Senator Evans added to an act concerning the genetically modified food labels. Senator Evans' amendment to the bill stated that starting January 1st, 2016, all foods that were genetically modified would be required to have all that information posted. However, we as a mass population can push for this act to be sped up in many ways. We can start petitions, boycott supermarkets. We can even have a mass picket or rally around the Senate to show that we as a people need this problem to be cured now. In conclusion,
This act will benefit people's health. Clarifying the food labels will make it easier for people to understand what they're eating.
We've discussed the act of food labels and how they will benefit everyone, how this act is being delayed, and what a possible solution that we can do to have it passed.
This will benefit our society, and this might even start a revolution and change our world.